everyone, it's Sam and I'm back with another video for Lawn Fawn. Today I am using the new Highland Cow stamp set, Summer Friends, Magic Picture Changer die and the add-on, as well as the stitched hillside and grassy border dies. I'm actually not starting my card like I usually do, which is coloring with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I am using the coordinating coloring stencils with this set, and it's so fun and so easy. I am using all Distress inks. For all the green stuff, the leaves and the grass and the tufts of grass. I am using Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn, and it's just really like 2 swipes because they're very small, and I mean. It's so fun to use these coloring stencils because it's quicker, first of all, and second of all, it's so fun to see the different color combinations because I'm so used to Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, which I love and I will always love, but it's so fun to do this, to switch it up, and like I said, it went really fast coloring these images. I end up using basically everything that I have stamped here, except for like one of the flowers, I think, which I was pretty impressed with because, you know, I usually stamp more than I use. So, I mean, I was proud of myself. I am going to be off of the screen a little bit. I fix it when I color some of the other cows, and I do apologize. I was zoomed in more than I had thought. But for the cows, I'm using a mix of fossilized amber and vintage photo, as well as antique linen, walnut stain. Nope, just those 4. Fossilized amber, vintage photo, antique linen, and walnut stain for the cows. And then for their horns, I use Lost Shadow. And these Highland cows, I think we all can agree we've been waiting for these images. It's like so highly requested, and they're so freaking adorable. And I'm so excited. These are even cuter than I had ever imagined. And I feel like I'll be making a lot of cards with these little guys. I just love them. I decided to color the other 2 images for my stamp set. For my card, are stamped separately on their own pieces of white cardstock because I'm going to be using the Magic Picture Changer dies. They need a little bit more room to die cut out. So this guy will be the top of the card, the front, the base, this will be the front. And then this little guy who is my favorite. He's like dancing. I don't know. I love him so much. He will be, when you change the picture, he's going to be right there. And so I'm just using the same colors that I used on my other Highland Cow that I showed you. And again, easy peasy. I do go out of the lines and the edges of the stencil, as you can see, but it does not matter. You don't see it later. You will not find it in the card. And that's just because I didn't mask off properly. But yeah, again, you won't even notice it. I decided to color the flowers like purpley bluey because I wanted them to be kind of like thistles in Scotland. And so I'm using a mix of milled lavender, seedless preserves, and wilted violet. And next I'm doing a whole heap of ink blending, but I kept it fresh again for me because I'm using different color combinations that I don't normally use. So for this first layer of grass, I use pine needles and peacock feathers. I'm going to be using cracked pistachio and peacock feathers on the bottom of this one. And I just kind of wanted to go from like a tealy, dark teal, light green, yellow type of pattern from the bottom to the top of the card. And so I'm just mixing and matching and playing with my color. So instead of doing my usual darkest shade, middle shade, lightest shade of ink blending and then going back over everything, I'm kind of like playing around and seeing what works. So this is cracked pistachio on the bottom with twisted citron on top. And I'm just cleaning, wiping down my area after every time I ink blend so that the colors don't contaminate as I'm ink blending. This layer is cracked pistachio at the top, then twisted citron on top of that, and again cracked pistachio on the bottom. And then I'm just lining it all up to kind of make sure it all flows and blends together well. I decided to make this a little bit darker, so I went over it again with Twisted Citron and a little bit more pressure. And then I wanted this to be a little bit more tealy, so I did a little bit more peacock feathers to the top, and then on the other one a little bit more Twisted Citron on top. Here I'm adding Twisted Citron, and then I'm actually going to use a little bit of yellow seedless, yellow squeezed lemonade at the top, just a tiny bit to kind of brighten it up a little bit more. And then for my actual card base, what everything's going to go on top of, I'm doing seedless, why do I keep saying that? Squeezed lemonade and mustard seed at the top of, so like the sky or far off hills, if you wish. And I'm just laying it all out to make sure it all looks good, and I do like it. So now I'm going to color the Magic Picture Changer add-on frame in the same colors about where it's going to land. So at the bottom I have cracked pistachio. Next I'm going to do Twisted Citron in the middle. And I'm just going to make sure they're kind of ink blended and it's not like a harsh line between them all. And then squeezed lemonade at the top. And it's not perfect. It doesn't line up perfectly, but that's okay. It lines up close enough, and I do like how it turns out. So next I'm going to use those same colors with our little Highland Cows on what we're going to die cut the Magic Picture Changer mechanisms from. And you can see I already cut out some masks, so I'm just covering up what we already ink blended and added the color. And then I'm just ink blending the same way I use the frame. So cracked pistachio, Twisted Citron, and then squeezed lemonade. And it doesn't look very good. It doesn't look very smooth, but again, you will not be able to tell any of that when the card is final. And again, I'm just second verse, same as the first, right? Mask for my little dancing cow, and then cracked pistachio, Twisted Citron, and squeezed lemonade at the top, and voila. Next, I ran them through my die machine, and you can see that I had also added some details with a white gel pen, of course. And I'm just making sure that they all came out well and everything is die cut smoothly and it's all going to go perfectly to plan. Excuse me. Okay, so next I'm going to add some color to the tab that you're going to see when you actually pull it, and as well as the pull tab that you put on top. And I'm using squeezed lemonade for the tab and then mustard seed for the little pull tab. I also decided it would be fun if I did like cracked pistachio, peacock feather-y, tiny little triangle inside of our pull tab arrow. So it just adds a contrast and brings in the rest of the green from the card. So, okay, now we're going to just get ready to make this card. I'm folding over the edges that were scored with my bone folder, and I'm adding 1/8 inch tape to both sides of the tab that we scored, so the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to fold over the top, and I'm going to remove the tape from underneath so you can fold it over and it sticks. And then I'm going to take my insert piece with the tab, put it inside through the slot, and then carefully put each of these little top image through the slots of the bottom image. And you can kind of see and kind of make it work and train the paper so that it moves up and down. And look, he looks like he's dancing. I can't get over that. Then I'm going to remove the release paper from the top. I do add glue, but just a tiny bit. You don't want anything getting on your inserted tab. And then it's all glued together, and look at that. Boop, 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 boop. Perfect. Next, we're going to put the rest of the card together. You can see that the add-on frame goes right on top. I'm just testing it and making sure everything, goes to plan. Nothing gets stuck, and it continues to work. After I attach this tab, which tells the card receiver to pull it, I'm going to attach the frame, and that will hide all of our mistakes from ink blending. And now we're going to just attach the whole thing with foam tape to our card base that we added the squeezed lemonade sky to the top. Once that's attached, I'm going to add all of the hills and grass that we had previously colored to create the scene. And I'm starting with the second layer, actually, because it was longer than my first layer. So I'm just making sure everything is glued down exactly where I want it to be, and you know, in the middle, on the left, right, top, and bottom, adding, and I'm just going to add my layers. These two layers, the first layer of grass and the first hill, are added with foam tape because they're going to go over the picture changer. The rest are glued directly behind the mechanism, and you can see they're kind of hanging off the edges, but I'm going to fix that. And I'm just making sure that they're all lining up and there's enough space in between each, and it all looks good, and it goes from the, you know, tealy color to the light green, yellow green color, and it's very nice and happy, and I can't get over how cute that cow is. I can't, I'm sorry. So I'm just trimming everything off the edges, and you can see that this card looks good. We got it going. We're almost done. And it still works. Don't worry, it does, I promise. I'm also taking this time to heat emboss the sentiment, which says "Long time no see," because the main cow in my card has his very long bangs covering his eyes. So I thought this sentiment was freaking hysterical. Now I'm just attaching everything to my card. Everything is attached, glued down just directly to the card. There's no more foam tape. I'm putting some behind the layers of our grass and hills and some in front just to kind of add dimension. You can see I have that little speech bubble which says "I miss Moo," which, I mean, come on. Adorable. I can't. I stamped that off camera. I'm so sorry. I used the Summer Friends stamp set and the coloring stencils, and I just colored them with the same purples that I had used for the flowers to bring in that color a little bit more. And like I said, everything's just being glued down directly, and I'm chopping everything else off the sides and then checking to make sure it works. And check, it does. And then I'm going to just put it on my card base so that we can check this card off as done, and I can show you how cute it is up close. I'm so in love with how this card looks. This dancing cow in the middle has my heart. I love him so much, and I think he's so cute. It was so fun to color these little guys with the coloring stencils. That was a fun change of pace. I hope that it was exciting for you guys as it was for me. Be sure to check this card out up on the Lawn Fawn blog, and have a great day. Bye.